device Timothy is strapped to is my personal favorite. I call it...
Hello everyone. If you think you know Hollywood, think again. Today we're diving into the lives of 35 Hollywood stars who were actually jerks in real life. From on-set tantrums to scandalous personal lives, these stories will change the way you see your favorite actors forever. So let's get started. Number 35, Charlie Chaplin. You won't believe what Hollywood's beloved silent film star was really like behind the scenes. Charlie Chaplin, known for his charming on-screen persona, was an absolute tyrant on set. He demanded perfection from his actors and crew, and if they fell short, they faced his wrath. Imagine working under constant threat of being fired for the slightest mistake or enduring daily verbal abuse and tantrums. Chaplin's perfectionism turned him into a nightmare for those around him. But his difficult nature wasn't confined to the film set. Chaplin's personal life was equally tumultuous. Every woman who married and divorced him had a story of emotional abuse, control, and infidelity. He had no qualms about sleeping with other women, showing little respect for his marital vows.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business.
Number 34, Milton Berle. Get ready to discover the shocking truth behind the comedic legend known as Uncle Milty. Milton Berle, once hailed as a TV pioneer, had a notorious reputation for stealing jokes. His unapologetic thievery earned him the nickname the Thief of Bad Gags. The scandal reached a peak at the 1993 MTV Video Music Awards when RuPaul called him out, turning what should have been a celebratory moment into an awkward confrontation. But Berle's misdeeds didn't stop there. His behavior was so disruptive that he earned a lifetime ban from hosting NBC's Saturday Night Live. During his guest hosting stint in 1979, Berle tried to dominate the entire show, overshadowing his fellow cast members and recycling old, worn-out comedy bits. His attempt to control rehearsals and his arrogant demeanor left a sour taste in everyone's mouth.
But the trouble with being imitated is the guys who do the Xeroxing, they like to forget the original.
Number 33, Jerry Seinfeld. Brace yourself as we peel back the layers of the man behind the legendary sitcom. Jerry Seinfeld, the comedian known for his observational humor, isn't always the affable guy he appears to be. Picture this, a public event where Keisha excitedly approaches him for a hug, only to be rudely rejected. That awkward moment wasn't the only instance of his dismissive behavior. He also called Lady Gaga a jerk just because she had the audacity to sit in his box during a Mets game. But Seinfeld's questionable actions don't end there. In a move that sparked widespread controversy, Seinfeld, at the age of 39, began dating a teenager. This relationship, which ended a few years later, became a punchline for late-night comedians and cast a long shadow over his otherwise illustrious career. Number 32, Bill Murray. You might love his movies, but Bill Murray's real-life antics will make you think twice. One fan pointed out, his characters are always an ignorant jerk who respects no one else's boundaries. Ghostbusters is a great example. This isn't just an on-screen persona, it mirrors his off-screen behavior too. From Scrooge to What About Bob, Murray's characters often display a disregard for others, which, according to another fan, is 90% of those movies. He's still ignoring boundaries or being a jerk. Even in the beloved Groundhog Day, Murray's character starts as a horrible human. Another viewer mentioned, I get he's supposed to be the heel with a turn, but darn, it's grating. These roles aren't just acts, they reflect his troubling real-life actions. Known for his boundary-pushing antics and abrasive behavior, Bill Murray's off-screen persona is just as challenging as his on-screen characters, making him one of Hollywood's notorious jerks.
Sometimes they go months without looking.
Number 31, Bette Davis. Bette Davis was known for her ferocious attitude. To quote songwriter Kim Carnes, screen goddess Bette Davis was ferocious, and she knows just what it takes to make a pro blush. Producer William Fry told Vanity Fair about once having dinner with Davis and director Herschel Daugherty. Daugherty made the mistake of wagging his finger in her face, and she responded with a verbal tirade that cleared out half the restaurant. Davis then returned to her dinner and acted as if nothing had happened. Film set lightings get pretty intense, and Bette Davis often rinses her legendary eyes between scenes. During the filming of Mr. Skeffington, someone entered her dressing room and poisoned her eyewash. The culprit was never found, and director Vincent Sherman reportedly told detectives, if you were to line up the cast and crew and ask them, okay, which one of you wanted to kill Bette Davis, 100 people would raise their hands.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Number 30, Stephen Collins. Stephen Collins, the beloved TV dad, had a dark secret. Stephen Collins is a great example of not confusing an actor's character with the actor themselves. Seventh Heaven star Collins was a beloved television dad, playing a pastor with all the right advice and wisdom a loving father can provide. However, fans were shocked to discover Collins admitted to sexually abusing underage girls for years. Understandably, people pretty much hate the guy now.
Himself to young girls and had young girls touch him inappropriately.
Number 29, Mandy Patinkin. Mandy Patinkin, charming on screen, was a nightmare off it. Mandy Patinkin isn't quite a household name, but you certainly know his work, probably from his unforgettable role as Inigo Montoya in 1987's The Princess Bride. By his own admission, Mandy Patinkin can be extremely difficult to work with. Before nearly destroying his television career in 2007 by suddenly walking away from Criminal Minds and never coming back, Patinkin was already behaving like a stuck-up starlet.
So your association is a fond one, I hope?
Very fond. I loved it.
Number 28, Robin Williams. Robin Williams, beloved comedian, was also a notorious joke thief. While Robin Williams was one of the most naturally funny people of his time, he was not the great comedian he was made out to be after his passing. Robin's written material was less than stellar, and he was often forced to rely on his impressions and improvisational skills. While he proved extremely popular with the playing public and therefore club owners, the material which he performed in his youth was not his own. Not confident in his own joke-writing ability, Williams freely stole the jokes of his contemporaries. While it was not uncommon for comedians to purchase jokes from other comics at this time, Williams offered no compensation to those he stole from. Due to his ever-growing success, few comics were willing to call Williams out when he stole their material. It was not until David Brenner confronted the Mork and Mindy star and threatened him with physical violence that Williams finally changed his ways. Number 27, Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball, the sitcom pioneer, was harsh behind the scenes. Lucille Ball broke a lot of new ground for what could be aired on television and revolutionized the modern sitcom. But she was very demanding behind the scenes. Tony Randall claimed that Lucy bossed everyone around and didn't spare anybody's feelings. In 1979, Richard Burton called Lucy a monster of staggering charmlessness and monumental lack of humor, and said that if he had been drinking, he might have killed her. Number 26, Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen's off-screen antics overshadowed his success. CBS's 2.5 Men was once one of the most popular sitcoms of the 2000s, thanks in large part to Charlie Sheen, who portrayed hard-living jingle writer Charlie Harper. Sheen earned $1.8 million per episode at one point, but then his personal issues interfered. In 2011, Sheen, who long struggled with substance abuse, partied for several days straight in Las Vegas with an adult film actress, then entered rehab, which shut down production on 2.5 Men. Then he lashed out at the show's creator, Chuck Lorre, calling him a charlatan and an earthworm. CBS ultimately fired Sheen and replaced him with Ashton Kutcher. Number 25, Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley, the king of rock, had a troubling obsession. Sorry, but the king of rock was also the king of teenage girls. Although everyone knows he famously met wife Priscilla Presley when she was only 14, that wasn't the only time he fraternized with teens. He was fascinated with the idea of real young teenage girls, said Lamar Fike, a former member of his entourage. It scared the heck out of us. He was particularly obsessed with virginal 14-year-olds, which he called cherries. According to Baby, Let's Play House, Elvis felt insecure about pleasing older women and would invite groups of young fans to his house for sleepovers instead. When Elvis finally upgraded to adult women, dating 21-year-old beauty queen Ginger Alden, after his divorce from Priscilla, he continued to treat them like crap. Ginger wrote in her memoir that Elvis once fired a pistol into her bedroom when she refused to bring him yogurt. What a swell guy. Number 24, Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford's feud with Bette Davis was legendary. Her backstage battle with Bette Davis during the production of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane was dramatized in the 2017 miniseries Feud. Davis did everything she could to get Crawford fired from the picture, but she was unsuccessful. When Davis was nominated for an Academy Award and Crawford wasn't, all heck predictably broke loose. Joan got herself booked to present the Best Director award and sabotaged her own movie by actively campaigning against her arch-nemesis. The Oscar went to Anne Bancroft for The Miracle Worker in 1963, and Joan Crawford accepted the trophy on her behalf. Joan Crawford's alcoholism, jealousy, and obsessive cleaning habits were well known throughout Hollywood. Crawford allegedly had a one-night stand with Marilyn Monroe and was named the other woman in at least 2 divorces. Number 23, Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts, America's sweetheart, wasn't so sweet off camera. America's sweetheart has a pretty damning track record for rude behavior. Back in 1991, she broke up with fiancé Kiefer Sutherland on the day of their wedding. Poor Kiefer had to hear the bad news from a friend, not Julia, who instead was spending her wedding day cheating on him with actor Jason Patric. She later got entangled in another affair in 2001 when she started dating cameraman Danny Moder while he was still married to makeup artist Vera Steinberg. And her reputation on set wasn't better. Julia was nicknamed Tinker Hell for being a nightmare on the set of Hook, and she was also so allegedly terrible to her sister Nancy Motes that Nancy blamed her in her suicide note. However, if it's any credit to Julia, she later admitted in 2017 that she used to be a selfish little brat back then.
Telling her no woman has ever looked that beautiful.
Number 22, Gerard Depardieu. Gerard Depardieu's legal scandals were only the tip of the iceberg. His legal scandals ran the gambit from physical assault and frequent fighting to white-collar crimes connected to his numerous businesses. Depardieu reportedly drinks as many as 14 bottles of wine every single day, beginning the moment he wakes up, even while he's on film shoots. During the Me Too movement, Depardieu was accused of sexual assault by more than a dozen women, most of whom were actors or crew members who worked with him. As reported by the Associated Press, 13 accusers came out against Depardieu, while also suggesting that his total number of victims was surely much higher, as he had a reputation for frequently groping and fondling the extras on his film shoots. Number 21, Zsa Zsa Gabor. Zsa Zsa Gabor's glamorous image hid her true nature. In the aftermath of her death, the Hungarian-born actress was praised as one of the most talented and glamorous celebrities of her time. What they didn't say, however, was that Gabor had a reputation of being rather unpleasant to be around. Gabor's greatest sin was her shabby treatment of her daughter, Francesca Hilton, who she was almost ashamed to acknowledge. Although Zsa Zsa proudly displayed her daughter on red carpets and at social gatherings when she was still a cute little girl, the actress began to lose interest in her child when the younger Gabor expressed no interest in wearing makeup. When Francesca's father, billionaire hotel magnate Conrad Hilton, passed away, he left his daughter only $100,000, for which she fought relentlessly in court. Not only did Francesca lose her case, she depleted her entire fortune in the process. With her mother offering only minimal financial aid, Francesca lived the rest of her days penniless, spending her final hours in Beverly Hills.
Other women find love and happiness. I find only this uncharmed.
Number 20, Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn's charm masked a series of scandals. Charles Higgum's 1980 biography, Errol Flynn, The Untold Story, made shocking allegations about the iconic swashbuckler. In addition to claiming that Flynn had multiple same-sex affairs, Higgum accused him of being a Nazi sympathizer. His claims were based purely on circumstantial evidence and subsequently debunked in later biographies. The well-known expression, "in like Flynn," was inspired by 3 separate statutory rape trials in 1942. He was acquitted each time, but the damage to his reputation was already done. His lifestyle choices also took a toll on his good looks, and he mostly played aging alcoholics later in his career. When Flynn died of a heart attack in 1959 at the age of 50, the medical examiner said he had the body of an 85-year-old man.
Blue Pacific with a cruiser of the fleet hopping over the side for me Saturday dip. Go on, go on.
Number 19, William Shatner. William Shatner's ego clashed with his co-stars. If you ever watched Galaxy Quest, you already know more about the real William Shatner than you think you do. The character of Jason Nesmith, played by Tim Allen, was based on Shatner. In fact, the scene in which Nesmith overhears fans bad-mouthing him at a convention actually happened to Shatner in real life. He avoided fan conventions for years, claiming they were well beneath him. He demanded that many of Spock's lines be given to Kirk in fear that Spock was becoming more likable than him, and Shatner and co-star George Takei had a famous spat that has lasted for many years.
Report to the bridge, Commander. Immediately.
Number 18, Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer's reputation for being difficult started early. At this point, Val Kilmer's reputation tends to show up in a room way before he does. As far as acting jerks go, Val Kilmer is right at the top of the list. Starting all the way back in 1995 with Batman Forever, Kilmer has been known for his attitude behind the camera. Actually, he's supposedly been a bit of a perfectionist since he was 12, when he quit a role in a hamburger commercial because he couldn't find his character's motivation, according to The Telegraph. But the island of Dr. Moreau was where Val Kilmer really hit his stride, according to those who worked with him. After making that film, the director, John Frankenheimer, said, "I will never climb Mount Everest, and I will never work with Val Kilmer again."
Let's swim to the moon.
Number 17, Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes' wealth didn't make him a nice guy. Not many people would be surprised to learn that Howard Hughes, the billionaire recluse, eccentric, and all-around weirdo, could be a jerk at times. Like that one time when he bought a major movie studio to which an ex-girlfriend was contracted, just so he could mess with and wreck her career. His victim was Jane Greer from 1924 to 2001, a film noir actress who made a splash in the 1940s with femme fatale roles in movies such as Dick Tracy, Out of the Past, and The Big Steal. Infatuated, he sponsored Greer and sent her to Hollywood to become an actress. When she showed an interest in other men, it enraged Hughes. So he went from doting to destructive and set out to wreck Greer's career. Number 16, Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney's autobiography shocked fans with its content. On screen, Mickey Rooney seemed like a perfectly nice guy. However, it seems as though Rooney's nice guy image was just another example of his impeccable acting ability. In his final years, Rooney released his autobiography, which was met with great excitement by those who couldn't wait to read about the many twists and turns of his career. But instead of an account of his various rises and falls, Rooney spent much of the book describing, and probably exaggerating, his many sexual exploits in acts of what we would now consider slut-shaming.
Oh, lady, would you? Oh, tell me, could you use me?
Number 15, Bing Crosby. Bing Crosby's private life was far from picture perfect. Bing Crosby's oldest son, Gary, claimed the crooner handled most disciplinary issues with a stern lecture and a studded leather belt. Gary Crosby was also punished when his brothers acted up, and that discipline didn't stop at spankings. Housekeepers allegedly gave the children the drowning treatment in the bathtub if they heard of them talking in bed or if they woke up too early. 2 of Crosby's children suffered from depression and eventually committed suicide. Number 14, Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman's temper scared his co-stars. Gene Hackman was long known as a grumpy, sour-faced jerk, but perhaps he was at his worst on the set of the Royal Tenenbaums. The entire cast and crew admits they were scared of Hackman, including Angelica Houston, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Wes Anderson. Hackman resented Anderson for whatever reason and would bully him, calling him nasty names and telling him to pull up his pants and act like a man. Anderson reportedly even had Bill Murray supervise some of the shots that had Hackman in them because the comedian was the only one who was actually not intimidated by him.
Well, that's it. It's game time.
Number 13, Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal's reputation for being a bad man is well earned. Steven Seagal was born to raise hell. The truth is, Steven Seagal doesn't have a reputation for being a good man. In fact, he almost seems above the law, if you can believe any of the countless allegations of rape, sexual assault, and sex trafficking that have been leveled against him over the years. That includes one by Playboy model Jenny McCarthy, who said in an interview that Seagal told her to take off her dress during a private audition for Under Siege 2, despite the absence of nudity in the film. Then there was this incident in which John Leguizamo claimed that Seagal elbowed him up against a wall with maximum conviction on the set of 1996's Executive Decision, all because Leguizamo laughed at something Seagal had said, thinking it was a joke. It wasn't a joke. I wanted to say how big and fat he is and how he runs like a girl, Leguizamo later said, but I couldn't because I didn't have enough air.
This is your trophy. This is your trophy, okay?
Number 12, John Hamm. John Hamm's charm hides a darker side. The handsome Mad Men star has a lot of female fans that love his charm, but the actor, like his famous character, is good at hiding his dark side. In 2015, news broke that the former frat boy was in the middle of a violent hazing ritual in 1991, where he allegedly set a guy on fire. Not only did John beat up a pledge by punching him in the kidney, he also led the poor guy around the frat house, with the claw of a hammer beneath his genitals. As for the pledge, the whole experience made him sink into a deep depression.
We obviously have very different ideas.
Number 11, Christian Bale. Christian Bale's temper is infamous in Hollywood. Christian Bale is well known for his commitment to his craft. Unfortunately, he is equally known for his bad temper behind the scenes. Bale's reputation for being a bit of a jerk began during filming of 2011's Terminator Salvation, when an audio clip of one of his tantrums was released online. In the now infamous clip, Bale drops more than a few F-bombs, while also threatening to kick a crew member's effing A. Bale is also known for being short with fans, and allegedly brought 2 young girls to tears after they asked for an autograph in a way that he felt was rude. Number 10, Jerry Lewis. Jerry Lewis's charitable image was a facade. He was hailed as a saint for his charitable efforts regarding muscular dystrophy. As the years passed, little by little it was coming out how awful a human being he really was. How he was a serial philanderer, cheating on his wife early on in their marriage, sexually harassing and abusing numerous actresses he worked with, secretly fathering a child in the 1950s with a fashion model, and never acknowledged her existence or helped his biological daughter out, even when she went homeless decades later. He passed away, leaving all his sons and or grandkids nothing in his will. Number 9. Gene Kelly. Gene Kelly's rough treatment of co-stars was legendary. When dancer Sid Charisse came home from the MGM lot covered in bruises, her husband assumed she must have worked with Gene Kelly that day. But Kelly may have done something far worse than being too rough with his co-stars. In 1970, he reportedly donated to the Provisional Irish Republican Army. He met covertly with IRA leader Cathal Goulding during an underground fundraising mission in the USA and gave him a check for £20,000. Kelly reportedly told Goulding, "This money is for guns. I certainly don't want it going to any do-gooders." Number 8. James Cameron. James Cameron's temper made him a nightmare to work with. Stories have come out from the sets of many of James Cameron's films, stories that point to the director in an unattractive light. There were claims that he lost temper too many times on Titanic and would flame crew members, extras, and even the stars. Some actors from Titanic have defended him, but no one from The Abyss defends Cameron. The entire crew and cast hated being a part of that movie, calling it Son of Abyss, the abuse, and life's abyss, and then you die. Ed Harris famously punched Cameron in the face after the director refused to stop filming even as Harris was drowning. Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio had a mental breakdown. He even asked that the cast and crew relieve themselves in their wetsuits to save time. Number 7. Walt Disney. Walt Disney's bigoted views and actions tarnish his legacy. Walt Disney, the mastermind behind the beloved children's entertainment juggernaut which bears his name, was not the model citizen the mainstream media likes to portray him as. While he was indeed a great creator, he was also a terribly bigoted man. Disney managed to earn a reputation as a sexist. Of females in animation, he once said, "Women do not do any of the creative work in connection with preparing the cartoons for the screen, as that task is performed entirely by young men." Walt Disney was a known anti-Semite and was strongly opposed to what he believed to be an attempt by the Jews to take over the motion picture industry. In 1938, right before the beginning of World War II, Disney even hosted Nazi propagandist Leni Riefenstahl in his Hollywood studio. Number 6. Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin's anger issues are well documented. Alec Baldwin is the undisputed king of the jerks. The longtime actor has a history of verbally and sometimes physically abusing reporters, photographers, and even family members. Some of Baldwin's lowlights include telling a reporter, "I want to choke you," hurling anti-gay epithets at paparazzi, and shoving photographers. The icing on the jerk cake, though, has to be Baldwin's leaked voicemail to his then 11-year-old daughter in 2007. In it, Baldwin says, "You are a rude, thoughtless little pig. You don't have the brains or the decency as a human being. I don't give a damn that you're 12 years old, or 11 years old, or that you're a child, or that your mother is a thoughtless pain in the A who doesn't care about what you do as far as I'm concerned." Yikes. Number 5. Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase's offensive behavior made him notorious. Yeah, we've all heard that Chevy Chase is a total jerk on set. He fought with Bill Murray, insulted Sherry O'Terry, and even got Will Ferrell feral. He mocked Robert Downey Jr.'s father's death by asking, "Didn't your father used to be a successful director? What happened to him? Boy, he sure died, you know. He sure went to hell." Chase, who often claimed he was joking, said some insanely offensive things to the other actors. He told a female co-star, "I want to kill you and then rape you." When he was fighting against his character, Pierce, being a racist, he asked, "Well, if my character is this much of a racist, then why don't I just put down Donald and Yvette on my knees and call them blanks?" Number 4. John Wayne. John Wayne's controversial views are still shocking. John Wayne was known for his ultra-conservative views, but many people don't know that he referred to himself as both a socialist and a liberal early in his career. John Wayne supported Barry Goldwater for president in 1964 after the Arizona senator voted against the Civil Rights Act, and he made his most controversial remarks in the May 1971 issue of Playboy. Wayne said he believed in white supremacy and didn't support African Americans holding office until they could be educated to a point of responsibility. Wayne also publicly denounced homosexuality. He considered Suddenly Last Summer too disgusting even for discussion and claimed Midnight Cowboy was perverse. Some film school students still walk out of classes when John Wayne's movies are screened, and Democratic leaders want to remove his name from the Orange County Airport.
Take the grave and let me lie.
Number 3, Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby's legacy is forever tarnished by his actions. For a long time, everyone loved Bill Cosby. He had the highest-rated television show for years, and his stand-up routines were crazy popular. However, all that changed when 35 women came forward accusing him of sexual abuse and rape. His reputation and legacy have been ruined ever since.
Theo, let's go! Come in!
Number 2, Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson's temper and rivalries made him a nightmare. While Carson came off as the perfect gentleman on screen, he was known to have an unpredictable temper. He would fly off the handle at the most random of times, reacting to minor inconveniences with a tirade of blue language while taking more serious issues on the chin. His feelings were notoriously easy to hurt, something which Joan Rivers recalled in 2009. Calling Carson a bastard, Rivers explained that she had a great relationship with the man for much of her early career, but he cut off all contact with her after she secured her own television deal. Seeing Rivers as a rival, the ultra-competitive Carson did everything in his power to destroy her show. Carson's rocky relationships with women were not just reserved for his professional life. The late-night king married multiple women during his time at the top, and with the majority of his marriages failing thanks to his emotional abuse and multiple extramarital affairs.
His conscience as an American and his moral commitment when he believes in something.
Number 1, Woody Allen. Woody Allen's disturbing relationships are widely criticized. Other than he's whiny, awkward, and thinks he's funny but isn't, Woody Allen is hated because he's a creepy perv with a history of having relationships with underage girls. To top it all off, he's married his 19-year-old stepdaughter. Woody Allen's name is synonymous with controversy, stemming primarily from his relationship with Soon-Yi Previn, the adopted daughter of his then-girlfriend Mia Farrow. Their relationship began when Soon-Yi was still a teenager and Allen was in his mid-50s, a revelation that shocked both Hollywood and the general public. The scandal escalated when explicit photographs of Soon-Yi taken by Allen were discovered by Farrow, leading to a highly publicized breakup. The couple married in 1997, and although Soon-Yi was 29 at the time, the origins of their relationship cast a long shadow. This relationship alone would be enough to tarnish Allen's reputation, but additional allegations have compounded the negative perception of him. Allen's adopted stepdaughter, Dylan Farrow, has accused him of sexually abusing her when she was 7 years old. Despite Allen's consistent denials and the absence of criminal charges, the allegations have persisted, contributing to a significant public backlash. Many actors and collaborators who once worked with Allen have since distanced themselves from him, and his films have faced boycotts and bans in various countries. His behavior and the allegations against him have sparked widespread discussions about power dynamics and abuse in Hollywood.
Thank you. I was actually on television around 3 weeks ago.
If you found this video shocking, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more eye-opening content. Share your thoughts in the comments below and let us know which celebrity's behavior surprised you the most. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.